everyone, Alex at Corumdale Farm. Today I want to sit down and share with you all of the flowers that I'm going to be direct sowing in my garden now. It is mid-October in Zone 7, Oklahoma, and I have a list of flowers that you can direct sow into your garden now that can germinate and sprout and then overwinter and give you early spring and spring blooms before anyone else in your neighborhood and in their garden. So let's go through the list. Before I give you my choices, I'm referring to these flowers as cool flowers. Cool doesn't mean like rad and awesome, but cool is in temperatures. Flowers that can handle the cold up to a certain amount and can overwinter, and then they're growing roots underneath, and they're going to have strong root systems and explode in growth in early spring and into April and May for you to enjoy in a way that you just can't get if you often are direct sowing in the springtime instead of fall. So they're really great options. If this, after watching the video and you're super interested in learning about more, if you're not in Zone 7, you're actually in like a Zone 6 or 5, and you need to do a little bit more work to protect your flowers, the book I recommend is called Cool Flowers by Lisa Mason Ziegler. It's a small little book with beautiful pictures, but she really has perfected how to grow cool flowers to extend the seasons in which you can enjoy beautiful color in your garden. So it's not just the summer or what you can buy transplants from Lowe's and Home Depot, but really being able to garden year-round and have beautiful, unique flowers as well. The flowers that I'm going to go over now, you don't often see as much because they take a little more work, sowing in the fall, overwintering, all that sort of stuff. And if you want to expand the range of flowers you can grow in your garden, I think this list will be great, and I think you'll really enjoy this book. So I'll put a link in the description of where I got mine. Cool flowers. So here is my list. This is not exhaustive, but I did a good amount of research, and this is what I found is the best flowers that you can direct sow. There are a handful of other flowers that I could have started inside to transplant out that are considered cool flowers, but they don't handle direct sowing as well. And with this year being our first year here in our new house and garden, I just didn't have my act together. So things like snapdragons and whatnot, I could have started back in August and transplanted now to overwinter, but I'm not going to direct sow snapdragons. So snapdragons will have to wait until the spring. I will make a video in February when I am starting all of my seeds for the spring and give you a list of flowers that you can start then to enjoy outside as well. So subscribe if you are going to be interested in that video. Let's go through the list. I have my notes and I have my seed packets. First up, we have Bupleurum. I have seeds from, I'll link my sources. I typically buy from Baker's Creek, Johnny Seeds, and the Gardener's Workshop. Gardener's Workshop is Lisa Mason Ziegler, the author of the book. And here I have Bupleurum. I have a green gold variety from Johnny's, as well as a second packet from Gardener's Workshop. I have two packets because my plan is to direct sow a packet to overwinter, and then I have another one to succession plant in early spring so that I have more blooms for a longer amount of time. So I needed to buy extra seeds for these guys. Bupleurum is a beautiful green foliage for bouquets in the spring. Next I have is Chinese forget-me-nots. The variety I have here is Mystery Rose, but there are different colors for Chinese forget-me-nots. It's an old-fashioned plant commonly found in cottage gardens. Produces delightful clusters of rose pink flowers. I'm excited about these. They're supposed to be a great bouquet addition, and they might even come back. They might even be perennial in my area or reseed themselves, which is always a treat. Next up I have what's called corn cockle, or agrostemma is another way that you might hear it. This is a color mix. I often, when I'm trying new flowers for myself, I like to buy a mix so I can get a variety and see if there's a particular color I really liked, and then the next year I can just target the exact colors I enjoyed. So this is a mixed color of agrostemma. Okay, Ami Magus. There's a lot of Ami dills and different sub-varieties in this category that are really great for bouquets and they'll reseed themselves, but you'll need to succession plant them, just like with Bupleurum, if you want to extend the season before the plants that you planted go to seed and they're just kind of done. If you do a succession planting like in the fall and then early spring, you'll have these sorts of plants for a much longer time. They don't behave like a zinnia, which is like a cut and come again flower. So as you're cutting on them, they're branching and producing more. They tend to be a bit more, these are my flowers, go to seed and I'm done. So you want to actually be planting more plants. But I'm excited about Magus. The variety here is Graceland. Oh, here we have Orlea, also known as white lace flower. A lot of these that I'm showing you are what are considered filler flowers for flower farm bouquets, and that's why I'm growing them, because I'm going to have ranunculus and tulips and daffodils and peonies and iris and those like wow flowers for the bouquet, but you want some soft, beautiful green filler to really round out your bouquet, and that's where a lot of these fall flowers are coming in for me. Fall planted flowers are coming in for me. So Orlea looks beautiful to me, very popular. Here's a tricky one. This is the one I'm a little nervous about because germination can be a bit finicky. A lot of flower farmers will start this flower inside in order to control the germination rate a bit more, but it can be direct sowed. I'm going to direct sow and see what happens. And these are Bells of Ireland. It's a beautiful lime green, all green flower with foliage that just adds the right green tone complement to a lot of the pastel flowers that you find that are blooming in spring. So I'm excited. I've never grown Bells of Ireland before, but everyone raves about them, so I've got to do it. Peer pressure. Next, I have Larkspur. Larkspur wants a cold stratification period, a cold period. So I popped these seeds in. I've already planted them. I planted them a couple days ago. I popped the seed packet into my fridge for a couple weeks to give them that cold shot so that when they went out in the garden, then they would start to open up. Larkspur has an incredibly long germination rate. It can be like 14 to 21 days. So don't give up on them if you don't see anything happen after a week, because you're probably not going to. Larkspur is a great reseeder. So when the flowers are done, they go to seed, they drop their seed, and then that seed comes back. So when you're thinking about where to plant larkspur, it can be really wise to plant it in a little bit more permanent location so that it's kind of like a one-time planting, and then hopefully it just takes off itself, and then every year you're almost not even having to think about it, but you get to enjoy the blooms. So that's larkspur. Oh, here I have 2 packets because I want a lot of these because I'm really interested in them. Is Nigella. Another name for Nigella is Love in a Mist. And they have very lacy green leaves with pastel pink and purple flowers. And it's almost like the spring Cosmo, where it's very romantic and soft and has really great structure in a bouquet. I have a Miss Jekyll mix and another mix here. Pinks, purples, blues. You can get blue flowers in spring, which is nice. So I have Nigella. This is a great direct sower. This is definitely going in tomorrow. And then my last 2 here is Bachelor Buttons. Bachelor Buttons is another great soft pastel color foliage flower for your bouquets in the spring. They are, I've been told, a pain to harvest, so I'm interested to experience that. There's definitely summer flowers that I hate harvesting because they drive me nuts, like Gomphrena and Cosmos. So maybe Bachelors will be the Cosmos of the spring, if you will. But they're blue. Blue flowers are so exciting. I just like to try new things. So we're planting Bachelor Buttons. I can decide if I hate it later from experience. I'm excited to try it. They are like Larkspur in that they will reseed themselves. So again, be thinking about where you want to put them so that they can live there a little bit more permanently and kind of create a spring wildflower reseeding section of your garden. A couple ones I didn't mention because they don't direct sow as well for spring flowers. You needed to start them well in advance would be foxgloves and delphiniums. They are biennial, but most varieties you can buy actually will bloom the first year. They will reseed themselves as well, like Bachelor Buttons and Larkspur. So if you can go through the effort of either just buying a plant, you can buy a plant from the nursery, let it go to seed, or start them yourselves, find a permanent spot, let a bloom or 2 go to seed, And then you will have a foxglove and a delphinium patch, and you won't have to go through the hassle of starting them from seed every year. So it's another great option. These are what I'm going to all direct sow probably tomorrow. I'm going to all get in. I have larkspur and bachelor buttons already in. I've seen some germination on the bachelor buttons. They're doing great. I'm going to get the rest of these direct sowed in the raised garden tomorrow. It's going to be 80 degrees, which is so strange. These flowers want cool evenings and warm days. When I say warm, I don't mean 85 degrees. Ideally, it's more in the 70s, but they really want that more 50-degree night for them to know they need to wake up and to germinate. So now in Oklahoma, in our forecast, we had our first frost a couple days ago. It was a freak Arctic blast. But looking at the extended forecast, we don't have any frost. We are in the mid-30s to mid-40s, even some low 50s, which is perfect time for these sorts of flowers to wake up and germinate, have warm sunshine on them to grow before we get deeply cold, which in my area is likely not going to be at least for another month. I say that now, but watch what happens in the forecast. That's what the forecast is telling me. And I wanted to add a couple more flowers here at the end. I will not be sowing these tomorrow. I'm going to wait until it truly is really cold to scatter these, and that's those in the poppy family. These will probably be scattered in December is my guess, because they definitely need a cold stratification period. And what I'm going to sow is, let's see, I've got an oriental poppy coral reef. I've got a wildflower field poppy. I might actually just sow that out in our field. And then last, I have a Hungarian blue birdseed poppy, which is just I'm really excited about. I'm probably going to sow these not in my raised garden, but in my perennial gardens. When it's super cold, just sprinkle it all out on the grass and see germination when they want to wake up in the spring temperatures. So that was a lot. That was a lot of flowers. It's a lot you can do. I would consider picking up seeds for some of these and getting them in the ground. It is so counterintuitive to think about sowing seeds now and then like seeing them start to grow and think that they're going to die. But you can think of them a bit like garlic. You plant garlic in October. Oftentimes it'll sprout and then it'll go a bit dormant, but what you don't see is underneath the soil, it's growing its root structure, and that healthy roots is what's going to cause that new top growth to explode in the spring, and you're going to be well ahead of all of your fellow gardeners in having flowers to enjoy so much sooner. So I really encourage you to try these seeds out and let me know how it goes. I'm excited to be still planting and filling out my raised garden so it doesn't feel so darn empty and sad this winter. So I hope this was helpful. Give us a subscribe and like or comments if you have questions. I'd love to answer questions, so let me know. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Bye.